G'day and welcome to my online webinar. The topic we'll be handling in today's webinar is how to go about creating your items and then also how to process within your items. Just some formalities before we get started. Everyone is muted so there are no interruptions during the webinar and so I can be heard by everyone. If you do have any questions, please feel free to type in the question box on your screen, and what we'll do is we'll actually address these questions during the webinar. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for attending today's webinar. Okay, as I mentioned, we're going to have a look at setting up your items, so whether it be a product or a service, how to go about doing that, and also how to go about doing adjustments. So once you log into your online program, you'll see on top that it indicates items. From there, you'll go list of items. You'll then see a listing of items. Alternatively, if you're just getting started, you won't have a listing as yet, and you'll simply go and select Add Item. Once you've selected that, you will then put in what is the description. So I'm running a beads company, so I will then go and indicate exactly what my description is. Then from there, I can also indicate category. So you can set up categories according to your business. So it's just for reporting purposes, then you'd be able to print reports according to that specific category. Okay, then you'll see there's also an item type, so you can indicate whether it's physical or service. So if you're rendering a service to one of your clients, then you'll indicate service, otherwise physical, if there is a quantity factor to it. And you'll indicate the only difference between those two is where you've got your opening quantity and then also your opening quantity. So dates. From there, if I indicate service, you'll see that that then is removed. Okay, so you'll have your opening cost. So what does it cost you to actually get these from your supplier? So I can indicate 50 cents. Okay, then from there you'll indicate what is it active, not active. If you go and deselect the active option, then this means that when you try and process a certain item, the system will tell you that this is an inactive item. Okay, then from there you actually go and indicate what is the tax type that you'll be using on your sales and your purchases. And then also exclusive selling price or alternatively inclusive. You can indicate which one you want to make use of there. The system will then just calculate the VAT for you. Okay, then opening quantity. So how many of this certain item do you have as to date? So I can indicate. And then also the date that I have it. Okay, once that's done is you can add notes as well to the system. So let's say I can put a note in for today. Subject to reorder. Then the note called supplier XYZ. From there I can also add an attachment. So if I want to add, let's say maybe a quote previously that I got from that supplier, or alternatively, any other type of documentation, I can actually just select on that. And then from there, browse for the attachment. So first save the item, go back, and then attach the note. You've also then got to use the defined sales, which I'll show you in a few minutes how to set that up. You'll see your activity purchase graph, sales graph, sales versus purchases graph. That's not available as yet. As you start processing within the certain item, that will then become available. And I'll show you on one of the existing items in the next few minutes. You then also have a picture option where you can actually attach a picture of how that certain item looks. So if ever you need to go in and see, okay, that's a certain item I'm looking for, from there you can go to the storeroom and go and have a look for that. Okay, so once you've added that note, you can simply then say save, and there you'll have the item. Okay, so if I want to go into an item, so I want to set it up and I actually just want to make changes on it, I can simply select edit. Okay, I want to select edit, I can then change the description, alternatively also selling price and so forth. Then you'll see now your activity graph has actually become available. So this is the point where you can actually drop down and see exactly, what was entailed in your tax invoices. Okay, so those are the tax invoices, that was the quantity, and so forth. You can then go back, also view your supplier invoices. You'll see exactly who the supplier is there. Okay, so from the point where it gives you your opening balance, any adjustments, tax invoices, your supplier invoices, any returns that you might have, and so forth. Then you'd have your purchases graph as well. Okay, so this indicates, so if you've got something, I don't have too much processing in that current year, I've only purchased once, but you'll have a full graph to indicate your purchases, also the sales versus purchases, and so forth. What I'll do is I'll actually get back just to show you on those graphs, and especially when we're looking at the dashboard screen as well. The main thing I want to have a look now is the user-defined field. So you've indicated your description as green beans, but now you want to acquire more information. So maybe it's, how many centimeters it is. So I can indicate that it's 0.22 millimeters, or otherwise just 22 millimeters, whichever it might be. But now I want this field to actually display that this is the size that I'm referring to. And as my text field as well, I can put in also where it might be located. I can simply say save. And what I'll do is I'll go to my company tab. From there I'll go to user defined field. I will then go to my items tab, and in my items tab I'll indicate size in millimeters. I'll then say save. Okay, and now when I go into that certain item, and I go to my use defined field, I will see now that it indicates 5 in millimeters 22. So all the user defined field option is just where you can provide more information. So I mean, all we give you is these tabs and top. If you need more, you can actually go and set that up. And as I said, simply go to company, user defined field, go and put in your description, and from there you simply just populate it in this field on the specific item. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go out of there and view the demo company. Okay, so if I go and have a look at one of the items, I go list of items, I go and edit on one of those items, I'll then see I've got that full activity listing there. I've then got my purchases graph. On that purchases graph, it will give you an indication between last year and this year, what was your purchases pattern. Then you've also got your sales graph, so you can also have an indication of what your sales were like. The last year versus this year, and then also a sales versus purchases for the current year. And then as I indicated, also a picture if you want to upload that. Okay, then you can also set up, if you have a look under your items, the item categories, you can either go to this option, alternatively when you're setting up that item, you can go and put in the category. Then you've got your item adjustments. So this is the point where you actually go and do a stock take, and you notice that one of your items are either damaged or so forth. So you need to compensate on the system and say, okay, one of these items, so one of my items needs to be reduced. So I can go and select quantity on hand. I can simply go next. I can go and indicate which item it might be. Put in a reason. And you can put as much of this reasoning in as you prefer. So you know exactly when you come 2 years down the line, you know exactly why that certain item was written off. And from there, I can simply change the quantity on hand. So I can go and indicate that it's now 300 of that certain item. I can also change my average cost. So if the cost has increased for that certain item, I can go and specify it specifically here. And then you've also got the date that occurs. From there, you can simply just go next. And it will indicate that it has been completed. Okay, so if I go to that specific item, I can now see that my quantity is 300. Okay, so the next we'll have a look at it as well is adjusting opening balances. So initially what happened is, so it's exactly the same screen that you're looking at. So you've got your new opening cost and then also new opening quantity. So when you loaded the certain item, what was that quantity that you entered? Did you note that after months you realized that the stock take was incorrectly done and there was, in fact, only 7 of the items and not 10? This is where you can go and make that change. You'll simply just say, what is the new opening quantity on that specific item? Okay, then also on your item adjustment, you've also got a selling price option. So let's say on a yearly basis, you have an annual increase, so whether it be a 5%, a 3%, or so forth, so whether on your product or your service, you can then simply come selling prices go next. And this is also where your categories will help you. So if you do set up categories, and let's say you have certain services or products that need to increase, one will be 2%, one will be 3%, and so forth. You can actually go and create that item under that certain category. So when you come and change the selling price, you can go via category. Okay, so I'm going to actually go and select that my services will increase by 5%. Then do I want the system to round up or round down? Okay, so I'm going to tell the system to round up and I want it to the nearest 10 cents. So I can then indicate that. And then also if I want to indicate certain items, you can actually just drop down and select those items. Once that's done this, you simply go next, and that item adjustment. So instead of going into each item and doing that 5% calculation, the system will in fact do that for you. And you'll simply just go finish. When you go back in, you'll see that there was a price increase of 5%. Okay, then we've also got reports. So on the reporting side, we've got an item listing. So this is a listing of all your items with user-defined fields if you prefer to print those out as well. So you can see exactly, okay, what is that item, warehouse, location, so forth. So you have all of those with your user-defined fields. Otherwise, you can have printing without those user-defined fields, without those on the report. You've also got your sales by items. So you can see exactly which item has been invoiced, what is the invoice, who's the specific customer, what was the value as well. And even if you want to drop down and see the complete invoice, you can simply just click on that invoice. From there, that invoice will populate on your screen. So that's great about the reporting is you don't have to go and print out another report. You can simply just click down and actually see that certain, what makes that amount. Okay, then you've got your purchases by items. So how many of this item are you buying? Who was it bought from? What is that supply invoice number? And that's similar to that graph that you'll have a look at where you've got your comparison between your sales versus your purchases. You'll then also see your item movement. So you can see exactly what is coming in and what is going out. Okay, so this is combining those two top reports, so combining your sales and your purchases to get your item movement. And then you've got your item valuation. So if you're planning to do a stock take and you want to see exactly what items you have, what are the categories, what is the quantity you have on hand, this will be the ideal report where you can actually print this out, indicate that this is the quantity, that is the value thereof, and then once you've done the stock take, actually come in and do those adjustments if need be. Okay, so that is then on the reporting side. Just on the quick view side as well and the home screen, so if you go to the home screen, you'll see that we also have an items dashboard. So you can see exactly what is your top item by value. You can also see what is your top selling item. So if you have a look there, your mountain bike, you can in fact click on that graph. From there, you've got a breakdown of those invoices and what those amounts are made up of. What's great as well is if you don't want to see it in the graph format, you can simply just click on the display grid and from there it will be a listing of all those items. Otherwise, click it again and from there it will be in the graph format. And you've also got your top purchased items, which you can also then click down on and from there get a breakdown of that specific item. And then all those reports that we just ran through now. Okay, so note, if you don't individually go and set up these items, you do have an option under your company where you can actually import the items as well. So if you are moving from another system or alternatively you had all your items listed in Excel, you can from there import those items instead of manually capturing it over. And this is done simply under company, import data, and from there you can go and select your items file. So make sure it's an Excel file and it's saved in the CSV format, and from there you'd be able to import it. Okay, then you've also got your quick views, you've got your items option, you've got an overview, sales versus your purchases, and also all transactions. So what's great about the screen is you never have to go off your current screen. You simply just pull up the screen, it will appear on top of your current screen. You can have a look at the information that you acquire. Once it's done, you simply close it and you continue on the screen that you're busy with. Okay, so you'll see as well when you are transacting also whether it be a supplier invoice or a customer invoice. If you haven't set up that item as yet, you can simply just go on your description, drop down, and there will always be an option where you can say add new item, and you can put in the information there. Okay, so don't worry too much if you haven't gone through and set up item by item. You can also do it as you're processing on the system, so as you're generating that quote or that invoice. Okay, great. I'd like to thank you for attending today's webinar. We have reached the end of our webinar. Hope to see you at our next webinar. Thank you. Bye.